We're Neuro Bros, we got a show. We like to share what we know to help you move and be more stable. Got a question, put it on the table. Let's have some fun and keep on learning so we can keep the fire burning. So enjoy the show, take it in, and we thank you all for joining in.
Hello friends, and welcome to another episode of the Neuro Bros Show. My name is Karl Sterling, and my co-host is Russ Parker, who you're going to see in just a little while. We're changing the format slightly, and occasionally we may do some live videos again, but it's been really hard to keep up the schedule. So we decided we would pre-record some things and put them up for you because we have information we'd like to share that we hope you find useful and beneficial to help you with, just knowledge, quality of life, whatever. We're here to help people. So this episode in particular is going to be about our favorite books, and I'm just going to give you my top 3 at the moment. Before I say that, though, I want to say greetings from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm going to brag for a minute. I attended my son's graduation from Emory School of Medicine residency yesterday. He's officially a doctor, and a PhD. And, I'm bragging, but I'm really, really proud. So I'm in Atlanta and recording on my phone. So please forgive the diminished quality compared to our usual transmissions. But anyways, it's been an amazing time. I also met my new granddaughter, who's 2.5 months old as of right now, and it's been an amazing few days. So when it comes to books, I'm a bookworm. I have about 120 books in my audiobook file and probably about 500 books at home on the shelves. I have a library that I love and I refer to often. I can never get enough information, and I can never get too much information. I want to share with you about 3 books that in my, so far, these books have changed my life, changed how I work with people, anybody, but in particular people with Parkinson's or any kind of neurological or movement disorder, because all these books are so relevant in their information. And so the first book I want to share with you is brand new, and I'm not going to tell you too much about it because it just came out literally, this is June 27th, 2021. This came out, I think, 3 days ago, and I'm done. I read it already. It's called Projections by Stanford researcher and professor neuroscientist Karl Sterling. All I can say is this. I'm only going to say this to you. I share a lot about books. I share a lot of books in the group. I share a lot of books at workshops. Information about books. I have a lot of favorite authors. This is my favorite book ever about neuroscience. Okay, it really talks about the brain in ways that I have not ever heard before. And the way Sterling goes into things is absolutely beautiful. It's genius, and it's another, besides the psychiatry that he's an expert at, is the neuroscience part and how the brain works. I mean, we're talking things from movement to learning, let's say developmental delays in learning, to certain types of disabilities, to neurological disorders, to all humans, depression, anxiety, moods, this and that. This book is a game changer, and I'm quite sure that if you invest in it, again, Projections by Karl with a K, just like me, Karl Sterling. He's in the top 0.1% of, so in the, like 1,000, he's in the top 0.1% of neuroscientists in the world. Okay, he's with Stanford, at Stanford. You got to check it out. And I learned about this book through another of my very, very, very favorite, who I've learned actually more from than anybody, is my favorite neuroscientists and professors at Stanford, who is Dr. Andrew Huberman. Had he not posted about this book 3 days ago, I wouldn't have known, but I got it right away. I downloaded it, I listened to it, and I'm on my second time through already. So, anything that Huberman does, just as a side note, look him up. Andrew Huberman, Huberman. Check him out. The guy is unbelievable, and he has a podcast. Every Monday morning, like clockwork, a new episode goes up. You can pick up on any episode and learn things without having to go through all the other stuff first. But I will tell you something. You really want to learn some stuff like you've never heard ever articulated before about the brain and the nervous system and how it works? Go to Huberman and get this book, Projections by Diceroff. You won't be steered wrong. Okay, so that's number one. The second book, which is really tied for the first book, that completely changed my life this year, is called The Molecule of More. And forgive me, I can't remember the author's name, but just look it up. There's only one book called that, The Molecule of More. Well, this book talks about dopamine. I've talked about it. I've done presentations on it over the years, but especially this year when I revised things, pretty much based upon this book and Andrew Huberman's lectures about it too. I have to tell you, it made me understand so much more about me, some of my addictive tendencies, my personality, my, let's say, OCD to a degree, my compulsive tendencies, which all of I learned how to manage pretty well prior to this book. But now that I read this book, I think 3 times now, I mean, it's absolutely fantastic information. It applies to all people. Why? Because we all have dopamine. Without it, we wouldn't be doing anything. Dopamine is the molecule of more. Dopamine needs something to do, okay? And so when you're driven towards a goal, when you're driven towards an award, an achievement, an accomplishment, or even if it's getting a cup of coffee, dopamine gets you off the couch to go get the cup of coffee, all right? Well, that's a really little example, but it's true, right? So it gets you there, but let's use something more significant. Maybe it's your first 5-kilometer race and you're running. Okay, well, dopamine gets you to the race and through the race. And then, have you ever done anything and then you feel like after you achieved it or accomplished it, geez, is that all there is? Well, in some cases, it could be a compulsion to buy things like, oh, I need a new iPhone. Oh, I need a new laptop. Oh, I need a new this. Oh, I need a new that. Oh, I need a new car. Oh, I need a new house. Oh, I need. And you get. And how long are you happy? Well, I'm not going to give away too much because I've already talked about it in my lectures on the Extraordinary Experts, podcast. But also, I'll just say that, how long are you happy? Oh, maybe you're happy for a little while, a few days, a couple hours, a month, a week. You graduate residency, you graduate PhD, you graduate MS, bachelor's degree, whatever it is. Are you happy? Is that it? Have you arrived? Are you there? It's a really good chance that you want more. I don't have anything. I need to be driven toward, I need a goal. Well, that's one of the reasons goals are so good, because then we have something to move towards, and it can be a really healthy goal, right? It can be a really healthy moving forward. Dopamine's the thing that's going to drive you there. All right, well, dopamine can be created in a lot of ways, or dopaminergic pathways can be lit up internally through seeking, maybe it's just exercising. Maybe it's, going towards a goal. That's okay. It can also be achieved and realized in other ways too. When you, I've never done drugs like heroin, cocaine, but I heard that like the first hit, there's nothing like it. Well, I don't know, but that would explain why that first hit being the best, you're always trying to seek out the next hit that's like the first one. Well, that would be that comes from an external source, right? So these are things I've learned from this book that are so significant as to, it could be food, it could be sugar, it could be alcohol, it could be drugs, it could be smoking cigarettes, it could be seeking attention from another person or other people that maybe goes outside of your relationship if you're in one, or your marriage. I mean, that's a dopamine. Dopamine gets you to the person that you seek to be with, all right? And then what happens when you're with them? Oh, you might be happy. They say in the book, maybe a year and a half, and then all of a sudden, reality kicks in. Are you that happy anymore? Well, no matter what the answer is, whether it's the PhD, the person, I'm not saying that for those who are single, dopamine is going to get you to the person. It's going to be the driver that's going to, but after a while, is it always magical like the first few weeks, months? Well, probably not, because stuff changes. But no matter what it is, whether it's that or the degree or the accomplishment, after that, it's great to set more goals, right? It's great to do that. It's probably healthy. But the here and now chemicals need to kick in so you can enjoy your achievement, enjoy your relationship, enjoy your accomplishment. So the molecule of more. I'm so sorry, I can't remember the name of the author. And the third book I want to talk about is the second, written by I'm going to talk about the first book written by Dr. Norman Deutsch, the first one that I know of, because Russ Parker is going to talk about the second one, The Brain's Way of Healing Itself. Well, The Brain's Way of Changing is Deutsch's first book, Doidge, Norman Deutsch. He's an MD, I believe an MD, Dr. Norman Deutsch, out of Toronto. I would suggest, you could read either book. I would suggest both. The Brain's Way of Changing, I got that one first, and it was so good because it talks so much about neuroplasticity and how the brain can change and make new neural firing patterns and pathways. That there's so much to that it in some ways is so complicated, yet it's not that complicated. Okay, so he has a nice way of breaking it down. So that one is called The Brain, the Brain That Changes Itself, or The Brain's Way of Changing Itself. I'm sorry, I should know that. I'll put it in the post, okay? Because I don't have my books with me and I can't show you anything. So I'll post about that, but check that out. Now, just on another note, what I would highly recommend is also going into the Andrew Huberman podcast and look for how we learn things or learn new skills quickly or something, because that's where Huberman goes into more in-depth description than Deutsch does, although I would highly recommend get the Deutsch book and get the second one that Russ is going to talk about too, because if you're somebody living with Parkinson's or any kind of let's say movement or neurological disorder, you're going to want to read both Deutsch books, all right? But Russ will tell you more about his experience because he lives with Parkinson's and how there's a beautiful chapter on Parkinson's in the second Deutsch book. So get both Deutsch books. Russ will tell you about the second one, The Brain's Way of Healing. But just to finish what I was saying about Huberman is go into the Huberman podcast. Go on, YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. I believe he's on iTunes, Spotify, probably. Get in there and look for the learn new skills or learn stuff. And he goes into a more advanced, yet really simply and well articulated how to optimize or maximize neuroplasticity. Because, if you're over 25 years old, it's a two-step process. Generally speaking, over 25. It's not just like you do this and you get better at moving or learning something. You can, but if you understand the two steps in the process, the hyper focus followed by sleep. Okay, focus, sleep. Not right away afterwards, although you can, but he'll explain it to you. go to the Huberman podcast, check it out, because you can learn how to maximize your neuroplastic potential that way. When you put that together with the Dory's books, and then the Projections book by Carl Deisworth that I mentioned in the beginning, the new book that just came out, just like the best book in the world in my opinion. And then, even the Molecule and More, you're going to have this beautiful, beautiful package of information, which is probably all you really need for a fantastic start to learning about the brain, neurotransmitters, chemicals, hormones in the brain that are created for various reasons, and how to maximize the best of everything in the brain to maintain good brain health, maintain cellular structure in the brain, slow disease progression if you have anything like Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, multiple system atrophy, progressive supranuclear palsy, or anything else. And just live a better quality of life. That's what it's all about. So that's it for me on this particular episode. Russ is up next. Thank you for joining us, and stay tuned, because we got more episodes coming just about every week, okay? Get these books, folks, and I'll post links to everything where you can purchase them when we do this post, okay? To all books for what Russ says and what I say. Have a great day. Over and out.
Hey
Bye-bye.
everybody, Russ here, coming at you with some book recommendations. So first up, I have The Brain's Way of Healing by Dr. Norman Doidge. In the predecessor to this book, Dr. Doidge wrote about, the book was called The Brain That Changes Itself, and he talked all about neuroplasticity, and rewire, how you could rewire the brain, neural healing. So in this book, The Brain's Way of Healing, he gets into some specific examples of people who overcame different problems using different techniques, and then there's some a couple of chapters mention in particular technologies to help the brain rewire itself, and help particular problems like movement disorders, and they talk about pain as well and things like that. So there's one chapter where they talk about rewiring the brain to help resolve chronic pain, that sometimes the brain rewires itself in a way so that it's registering pain in one area of the body, but there's really no physical damage in that area. It's not like an injury or something like that. And it talks about techniques on how to retrain the brain so you kind of negate those signals, and your chronic pain finally goes away. They talk about mindful walking, the John Pepper story. John Pepper is a man who has Parkinson's, but he's reduced his symptoms to nearly nothing, and he's also successfully reduced his need for medication, eliminated it at one point. I'm not sure where he's at now. But he used mindful movement techniques, breaking down his walking and other types of movement, identifying different components of the movement and what was not working, and coming up with the alternative or the correct ways to move. So he improved his walking form that way, and when he got his form going good, he was able to walk extremely fast. So he had a walking program where he was walking like an hour at a time, very, very fast, which was good for neuroplasticity, reducing symptoms and rewiring the brain, and also generating some of those brain healthy chemicals like BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, to possibly help slow the progression of his Parkinson's, in addition to the symptom reduction. So there was another chapter that talked about using red light therapy to help things like sleep, movement disorders like Parkinson's, symptoms of movement disorders, sleep, and pain. There was another device they talked about, another invention called PONS. And all these things, studies have been done on them, and there are other success stories. PONS is just a stimulative neuromodulation device that a little wire goes into the tongue area, and is shown to help people with movement disorders and movement problems. There's another story about a man who developed a technique called Feldenkrais, Feldenkrais, I should say. And that's just like a mindful, again, a mindful type movement thing where you breaks down different movements, and you kind of helps you develop an understanding of how to move properly. They talked about the impact of music on the brain, positive impact of music on the brain. And I know I've experienced that myself. I like music, and I like dance. That has a very powerful, strong impact on the brain. So that's a great book. It doesn't apply to just specifically to people with movement disorders. Some of the things they discuss are pain and sleep and things like that. So it applies to anyone really. So that's the first one. The next one I want to talk about is Living Daily by Candace Cox. And there's a technique that was developed called the Alexander technique. And it's, again, a technique that helps you understand the importance of moving and aligning your joints properly. They go through each joint from foot all the way to up the body, the ankle, the knee joint, hip joint, shoulder. They speak specifically to areas of the body and how to align them and move them properly. They talk about different types of movement. But the book is called Living Daily, and that's because they do a lot of things they talk about in the book are related to daily tasks of living, like getting up and down from a chair, getting up and down from the floor, just general maneuvering around, rolling over, getting in and out of bed, all those type of things. And they have exercises and techniques, and they tell you what to be aware of. And it just helps this technique. And this book is, it talks about the Alexander technique for Parkinson's disease. The Alexander technique could also just be used for movement in general, but this one is specific for people with Parkinson's disease. So they talk about a lot of the common problems that people with Parkinson's have. And there's a couple of examples in the book of real life examples of people and what they did and how they improved their movement. So this technique helps you move more efficiently and could hopefully help people reduce their need for medication if they're moving more efficiently. So that's book number 2. The next one I wanted to talk about is Barefoot Strong by Dr. Emily Splichal, who I know. She's a human movement expert. She's a podiatrist. She runs the Evidence-Based Fitness Academy, which provides human movement education to professionals. She is the founder of Naboso Technology and inventor of the Naboso insoles and textured mats. And they have a textured ball now, which all help stimulate the nervous system, the bottom of the feet, and help enhance movement. I know several people who've had different types of problems, neuropathy and Parkinson's disease, shuffle walk, and dystonia, and those technologies have helped them move better. And in this book, Barefoot Strong, she talks about barefoot training and the importance of the feet, which is a highly overlooked topic. Your feet are in contact with the ground quite often, and that's where your movement your movement starts. So there's this ground to core sequencing and foot reaction force with the ground that happens. She talks about techniques to restore or enhance that, which could either help people with movement, all the way from people with movement disorders up to seasoned athletes. Can help those people move better. And then she talks about common practices that can either help or hurt your overall movement and foot health. So there's, the whole concept of people who've worn too supportive of shoes and arch supports and cushiony shoes that sort of make us lose our sensitivity and our awareness of the ground, between our feet and the ground. So she talks about how to restore that, certain exercises to get your feet back in touch with the ground. So you could start that process of when your feet hit the ground, you're stable, powerful, and then that whole efficiency of movement and reaction to the ground quickly trickles up, moves up the body, and you move more efficient. So like I said, that's an area, a highly overlooked area. So I highly recommend this book, it's an area that you're not educated on. This is the book to get. And if you're not educated in the area, I recommend that you try to address that, because it could be very helpful. And then the other thing I want to say about the book was there's references to online videos and instruction about some of the exercises and things she mentions in the book. So that's great. You can use this as a great reference book for improving your movement using all these different techniques. And the last book, I'm just talking about human movement, a variety of things in human movement. So this book is more of a kind of like a textbook reference book that really probably applies mostly to movement professionals like trainers and physical therapists and the like, because it's called Anatomy Trains by Thomas Myers, and this gets into the whole real nitty gritty anatomy of movement. And this particular book speaks specifically to something called myofascial meridians. So this is fascia is like a collagen-like connective tissue that's all around our muscles, our body, and there are these meridians that there's different ones that sort of connect our movement all the way up through the body, starting with the feet up all the way up through the top of the body to from the lower limbs to the core, to the torso, to the upper limbs. So that's kind of like a geeky book for human movement professionals. So those are my book recommendations. I highly recommend all of them. One thing I do sometimes, if I want to check out, get a little sample of a book, sometimes you go onto Amazon, they'll give you like a little snippet. So that's something good to do, see if that's available. So if you get any of these books, I hope you enjoy them. And that's it. That's it for my little short review and recommendations for these books. So everybody stay healthy, keep moving, and no limits.
We're Neuro Bros, we got a show. We like to share what we know to help you move and be more stable. Got a question, put it on the table. Let's have some fun and keep on learning so we can keep the fire burning. So enjoy the show, take it in, and we thank you all for joining in.